Thanks, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks, Jim, for that very kind introduction, and good morning. Welcome to Nashville and the free state of Tennessee. We hope that you have a wonderful time while you're here with us. Sorry about that challenging weather yesterday, but as we say here in Tennessee, just give it a few hours, it'll change. I'm honored to have this opportunity to open your conference, and I love the theme, collaboration in a time of crisis. Here in Tennessee, we've lived that concept for the past several years, from tornadoes to floods, a Christmas Day bombing, a kidnapping, rape, and murder of a female jogger, and the subsequent search for her and the suspect, an egregious police use of force, a recent mass killing in a church school, and the murder of a sheriff's deputy and the ensuing 5-day search for that suspect. While all of these situations had unique challenges, the one thing that they had in common was the critical importance of collaboration. I'm happy to discuss any of those events later when we open it up for questions. This past October, at the IACP annual conference in San Diego, we had the opportunity to learn from the leadership guru, Simon Sinek. Simon posed a thought about how we are perceived as a profession. This actually got me pretty fired up, and I think it's important for this group to hear what Simon posed, as I find great value in his suggestion. Simon said, and that's not the children game, he really did say that we have an image problem in our profession, and it starts with what we call ourselves. We call ourselves the law enforcement profession. If you think about that image that this terminology brings to mind, the act of enforcing the law, force being what most people hear. As a new officer, you start out with that as your focus and your main role. When you roll up on that first call, you get out of your vehicle and you look for the opportunity to enforce the law. In reality, law enforcement is only a tool in what we do, and it's only used about 10% of the time. Most of what we do in our profession is problem solving. What we really need to be calling ourselves is the policing profession, with the understanding that policing is defined differently. Now, this is where I've adjusted Simon's message a bit. Simon said that policing is defined as protecting the vulnerable. Now, I don't disagree with that at all, but I would add that I would say that the 3 P's of policing are preventing crime, protecting the vulnerable, and promoting public safety. Think about the approach by the new officer if they're welcomed to the policing profession and told that their mission is to prevent crime, protect the vulnerable, and promote safety. When that new officer exits the car, their approach is one of helping. They still learn how to enforce the law, as it is a tool that they'll use in their work, but it's a tool to meet the mission. If we fix the perception issue, we also change the mindset of our detractors when we seek out the opportunity to collaborate on the use of technology. If technology is being used to police, then it is being used to prevent crime, protect the vulnerable, and promote safety, not enforce the law. Collaboration is not a new concept to this group at all. You've been addressing information collaboration challenges since your inception in the 1990s. And just as a side note, not trying to make any of us feel really old, but have you experienced any of your new Gen Z employees ask you, just what was it like in the 1900s? Yeah, I know, right? Okay, kid, go back to watching your TikToks. But seriously, that generation is the one that is helping us move into a more connected system in criminal justice. So the 1900s were pretty cool, but I'm really excited about what's coming in the 2030s. I appreciate the core approach that IJIS takes to develop solutions, understanding that operations are first and technology is second. To put it more succinctly, technology is created to support operations. In addition to our own projects with our CJIS at TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation has worked with IJIS on development of our gang intelligence system located in our Fusion Center, which is a program actually that was just recognized last month by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security for its innovative approach in the use of technology and the HISM system. IJIS has been working with the Tennessee Department of Corrections to improve and enhance their data and information sharing. IJIS has also been working with the Tennessee Administrative Office of the Courts on integration of the various county court systems. It is well known to this group, IJIS has a great history for collaborative efforts to streamline technology to support the justice system. So in addition to my daytime job at the TBI, I serve on the executive board of the International Association of Chiefs of Police as the second vice president. ICP also has a great history working with IJIS. We've worked together on the CJIS security policy, RMS standards, facial recognition, and public safety information sharing. Nationally, IJIS is responsible for the SAR writing tool that included critical pieces to address privacy and civil liberties, to working with the BJA on standards for information sharing for victim notification systems, where they moved from letters and calls to text messages, where there is more timely notification to those victims, to efforts with FBI CJIS on index, and the current work with BJS and CJIS on the NIBRS challenges, to working on the PDMPs, the prescription drug monitoring programs with BJA and CDC that connected 54 PDMPs to address the prescription drug substance abuse issue. From that great work to our current challenges with interoperability of the 988 system for persons in crisis, school safety information sharing, the ever-changing and challenging illegal drug market, the influx of the poisons fentanyl, xylazine, and now nitazines, the resulting overdose deaths and need for better and more timely data between police and healthcare, increases in violent crime in our major cities, the evolving DNA technologies, the growing concern of digital evidence, the collection and storage of that evidence, to the ever-present challenge of AI. So we'll talk about each of those just briefly. The 988 system is a vital system to address the challenging rise in suicides and crisis in our country. However, we've discovered that it's an imperfect system that needs work and support. Calls for help are not going to the local public safety communication centers. They're routed routinely, regionally, and this has created challenges. We need help getting this right, and IJIS is the right group for this task. School safety, it's a topic that's been front and center since Columbine in 1999. Since then, we've had so many more of these senseless, tragic attacks. Sandy Hook in 2012, Parkland in 2018, Uvalde 2022, and then here in Nashville, the Covenant school shooting just last year. IJIS has been working with the innovation geniuses in Silicon Valley on an information sharing study that can have an impact in this space. The illegal drug market continues to grow with what appears to be never-ceasing demand. Challenges with the flow of methamphetamine and fentanyl from the South, led by the cartels, to feed that demand seems unstoppable. But it's not. This group can find a way to make technology work to support operations in slowing that flow. This group can help with connecting the dots between the drugs in our communities and the cartel members who are here running those operations. This group can help us develop a prevention system to identify those at risk of addiction and help direct resources to them to keep them from entering that system of demand. For example, we know from medical studies that there are 3 basic factors that feed the system of those who end up demanding drugs and becoming addicts. These are genetics, where a person is born with a genetic disposition toward addiction based on their family history. Trauma, the IJIS scores, right? Adverse childhood experiences. As you gather up those scores, once you hit that 4, your prevalence to these bad acts go up. And then opportunity. One of the areas of the greatest impact that we can have is in the area of opportunity. We need to do better at preventing addiction. With this understanding, we can build a prevention system that actually works. This group can make technology work to support timely information sharing between public health and policing to address the overdose plague being experienced due to the poisons of fentanyl, xylazine, and nitazene being peddled in rural, suburban, and urban America. Timely information to apply resources to impacted areas immediately can prevent deaths. Violent crime has become more prevalent in many of our larger cities. In Tennessee, Memphis and Shelby County are driving the numbers, with over 700 murders last year between the 2 jurisdictions, and over 27,000 aggravated assaults for a population of just over 927,600 residents. Keep in mind that aggravated assaults are just great medical care away from being a murder. A lot is being done to address that issue, but one effort that we are focusing on is connecting data. IJIS can be a resource in that space. DNA has become the expectation for crime scene investigations and evidence collection, with new technologies increasing the ability to collect and identify potential suspects within 2 hours is an emerging expectation. And the collection of DNA upon arrest is a promising practice. The need to create standards has never been more pressing. IJIS is built for this challenge. More prevalent than DNA at crime scenes is digital evidence. The need to be able to collect, process, and store volumes of evidence that is involved is one of the biggest challenges facing policing today. The need to assure that we are provided legal access to the information in locked devices is also a key effort needing support. IJIS is posed to bring solutions in this space. Not a day goes by that I'm not asked about AI. What do we know about it? Are we using it? Are the criminals using it? We definitely need this group to partner with others, like the IACP, shameless plug, to figure out how we deal with and adjust to AI. Our CIO at the state of Tennessee recently created a working group of representatives from various state departments to look at the impact and the use of AI in state government. She mentioned a quote from one of the leaders in the technology space that she heard at a recent conference. He said that AI will either be the end of the world or will be the next greatest thing in technology. That's certainly a wide spectrum to work within. My hope is that this group will help us move toward the potential greatness that it needs to be. We've had some recent challenges that we've noted with AI use by criminals. We had a case where a senior citizen followed our advice on relationships that are created in the virtual world. We used to say that it was important to verify that the person you are talking to online is real. So you should encourage them to meet with you virtually if you can't meet in person. Well, she followed that advice and did just that. She met with this paramour that she believed was a politician from up north. She did that through a virtual platform to chat. He ultimately convinced her to send him money. And eventually, he had taken $1.2 million before she was suspicious and called the police. We discovered that this was a scam where the suspect took a photograph of the real person and audio of his voice. And using AI, he communicated as that person with the victim, thus creating another victim, and that's the person that was being impersonated. And this is just one noted evidence of the dangerous use of this technology. On the positive side, on the use of technology, and we've got many of those examples, but one that I share, and especially share with our politicians, is our use of facial recognition. As I mentioned, this is an area that IJIS and IACP work to create great policy for future use. We know that the pushback is always out there, and the claims that it's only used to find suspects, and it's not reliable, especially when it comes to minority faces. But I'm not going to argue in that aspect. What I am going to share is how we found great success in two areas, and both have to do with victim identification. We use the technology regularly to identify victims in CSAM, or child sexual abuse material, in our ICAC unit to save children being actively abused. Another recent success we had was in a case where we came into possession of a cell phone of a suspect of sexual assault. The cell phone was a treasure trove of investigative information. The suspect had created videos and categorized them, some with victims' names, but most with just code words. The victims in these sexual assaults and rapes had been drugged by the suspect. Our investigators were able to identify over 70 victims, most who didn't even know that they were victimized, using facial recognition technology. These are just a few examples of our experience in this space and the importance of the work of this amazing group of public and private executives collaborating to make technology work for operations. We must also assure that we are educating policymakers on taking measured actions on limitations of advances in technology. Knee-jerk reactions based on conspiracy theories or the latest box office hit is not what we need. We need policymakers to be informed on what new technologies do to improve the efforts of the justice system, and to remember that we operate in a system that is informed, measured, and ruled by the U.S. Constitution. Any use of technology must uphold the rights of every resident of our republic. We need to use our new terminology to inform on how we use the technology, not to impose our will or enforce laws, but to prevent crime, to protect the vulnerable, and to promote safety. As I looked over your agenda for the next couple of days, I noticed many icons in this space on that list. I know you're going to have some excellent conversations and opportunities to enhance your networks while you're here. I hope that you also take some time, some of that free time, to enjoy what Nashville has to offer. And also want you to come back again and again to add to our economy. As we look at the days, weeks, months, and the year ahead, the nature of the work that you do here and going forward will be critical. Knowing the impact of collaboration in a time of crisis is never more important than the time we find ourselves in today. I hope you have a great conference, and if there's ever anything that I can do to assist you, please don't hesitate to let me know. Thank you, and I'm happy to take questions if anyone has. Happy to talk about any of those challenges that we faced in our short tenure